Parents will often call me in desperation because they're struggling to handle their high needs kids. The hardest part is their kids' intense anger and tantrums. So what do you do if you're dealing with an explosive child? First of all, it's important to realize that kids don't usually have the ability to tell us with words when something's wrong, so they'll typically show us through their actions. Now, when kids are constantly out of control, they're clearly not thriving, and there are some things that's just preventing them from being at their best. Keep in mind that kids don't choose to act out and do poorly. Kids are wired to want to succeed and please their parents, but there's just something that's preventing them from being able to do this. Often it's just because they don't have the tools to handle their emotions, and so they act out. Now, before I go any further, I just want to say to parents of an explosive child that there is hope. But it's so critical to teach them the skills now to help them thrive. They're not going to just grow out of it without help. Otherwise, they're just going to become adults who struggle to handle the ups and downs of life, and they're going to create havoc for themselves and their loved ones. And we don't want that for our kids. But we don't want to label them as problem kids. Instead, we need to carefully assess where the gaps are and help them develop the skills they need to thrive. Now, there are many things that could be going on, so it's very important to do a thorough assessment first. For example, often these kids have problems regulating their emotions, which is a learned skill, by the way. No kids are actually born with the ability to control their own emotions. But there are some kids whose brains are wired so that when those emotions are triggered, that little part of their brain called the amygdala just goes haywire, and their brain is literally flooded with strong emotions, and their ability to reason just vanishes until their brain's able to calm down. Now, another very important issue to evaluate is the home setting. Is there a lot of chaos in the home? A lot of fighting and yelling and screaming between the parents and the siblings? Is there a lot of conflict between mom and dad? Kids need a calm and secure environment. And when there's emotional chaos in the home, kids are like radars picking up on it, and they'll act out what they witness in their home. So if parents aren't regulating their emotions, how do we expect our kids to? Now, there may be also something going on in the school or in the playground that's triggering these outbursts with these kids. Are they experiencing bullying? Has something traumatic happened? Are they struggling academically? Some kids with undiagnosed learning disabilities struggle with school, but they show it by lots of explosive, angry resistance, especially when they have to go to school. For many kids with anger problems, there's actually an underlying problem with anxiety and fear. And so they fight what they're afraid of with anger. You know, the old fight or flight syndrome. When they're afraid, they can get into lockdown mode, and watch out, they're going to come out with guns a-blazing. Now, some kids' brains are wired so that when they encounter no, their brain is flooded with uncomfortable emotions, and so they react. These kids are sometimes described as oppositional. But I'll tell you, punishment and anger is the last thing that actually works with these kids. If anything, it actually escalates their out of control emotions. You need to be creative in handling and disciplining them. So once you've pinpointed the underlying causes, you can begin to address the gaps and teach the skills to the kids that they need to thrive, or get them the help that they need. Now, if you're interested in learning more, I do have more information about this on my blog, so you can start there to access resources to help your child. I'm Dr. Mary.